Good morning, everybody. It is day three of PROLON. If this is your first video that you're catching, I have a series of videos. I started with an intro video this is my third time doing the actual program, 5-day fasting nutrition program, but I have done 2 DIYs, so I'm pretty seasoned in this. And so the first video was more so explaining what PROLON is, my insight on it as a fitness and nutrition professional, specialist, published author, all that stuff. Then I figured I'd take you through each day separately, which I did start a playlist. You'll find it in my channel under playlists. It's called the PROLON playlist. And that's where I'll put all of the videos that have to do with this, because it is kind of a very specific subject content matter. Typically, it is things having to do with cat stuff, kitty nutrition, feline care, things for humans like stress management tips and life hacks, DIY, but ultimately whatever I feel like posting. So that being said, good morning again. It's day 3. I woke up feeling pretty good. Typically, what I've noticed anytime that I've done anything that requires some kind of caloric restriction is when it comes to sleep. And there's something, I remember looking this up once, and it does have something to do metabolically or biologically, but I find that I don't need as much sleep. So let's say my typical perfect amount of sleep is 7 hours and 20 minutes, because it was at one time. I'm good at about 6 hours during times like these, and I've noticed that pretty regularly. Well, I don't do this often, but in my lifetime, in the past 15, 20 years, anytime there's been a caloric restriction or fasting involved, I noticed not only do I need less sleep, but I wake up feeling very refreshed and very energized from the get-go. So that's definitely a positive, and that's a good sign here, and that's typically what people experience by days 4 and 5. Days 2 and 3 are typically the most difficult for people. For me this time around, and I don't know how today's going to go yet, we're going to check back in at the end, but for me this time around, I would say the second half of the first day, surprisingly, I was foggy-minded, and kind of had a mild headache, and I am not a headache person. And then day 2, so yesterday, it lifted a little bit, but I mean, here's the thing. When it comes to hunger, you're going to be hungry. You're going to feel hungry the whole time. But that's another one of the benefits of it, is it reminds you, or let's say if your appetite, if you had been overeating, or if you were a constant snacker, something that this helps to reset is not only your portion sizes, but your hunger cues. Because whereas a lot of people, I know this has happened with clients and people I know who have done this, it helps you to realize you have more control, and being hungry is okay. Whereas someone before, they felt the tiniest little ping of hunger and felt like they had to eat. Something like this, or even if you are already familiar or have done some kind of fasting or intermittent fasting, which is the trendy thing the past couple of years. If you've done that, then you already know that feeling a little bit hungry is okay. And oftentimes you either just need more water, preferably, or some kind of liquid that may not just be coffee. And what happens is usually the hunger will pass. So again, if this is your first video, because I'm kind of science nerd accuracy about this as well, I've been taking blood glucose and ketones. So this morning, looks like it was 83 fasted glucose this morning. I'm trying to take it at around the same time every day. So if you've noticed watching the other videos, and my ketones were at 0.8. Again, if you haven't seen my other videos, I'm a data nerd. So every time that I've done PROLON or the DIYs, except for the very first time I did it, I've actually been collecting the data. So what my weight does, morning and night glucose and ketone levels, and now I'm documenting it, I guess, on video to let you guys know how I feel and see how it is every time. So, okay, here is day 3. Day 3 is probably the most calorically restrictive. It doesn't seem like it. Basically, days 2 through 5 are the same, but this day, a little bit less, let's say. So we have our 4 packs of tea. I'm actually going to make this into a hot tea right now. And this I will put right here in our bottle. I explained more about this, I believe, in yesterday's video, since it was our first day with the L drink, which I also explained what this is in yesterday's video. Again, check it out on the playlist. And a tip that I didn't give yesterday, I'll give you in a second with that. Basically, they're multivitamin, their version of a multivitamin, but it's just a vegetable powder with vitamins and minerals and nutrients, and you can see everything in the back there. 2 more teas that I'll probably have hot, because that also helps you feel a little more satiated, since again, you're gonna feel a little hungry, but it's not unbearable, and it helps to desensitize you a little bit if you are a heavy snacker. And again, this doesn't apply. I'm not a medical professional. This is for educational purposes, educational and entertainment purposes only. This is not medical advice. You should always consult your physician or your medical provider. And also just a reminder, this is not sponsored. You know, this isn't a paid video in any way. They don't know I'm doing this. Yeah, I was about to say, when it comes to your hunger cues and things, if you are diagnosed with something, that might be a little different. That might be something that probably is something you want to consult with your medical provider or physician with. However, I suggest finding one that is keen on nutrition, because most are not, and most may not have even heard of PROLON, but there are a good number. This is actually suggested and recommended by health professionals, and there are physicians who know about this and who do suggest that their patients do it for their benefit, because there is a lot of benefit. And I talk about most of that in the intro video, so go check that out. But yeah, we have our L-bar, which is delicious. We have our tomato soup mix. Again, like I mentioned yesterday, this one is just, you could just do in the microwave. I'm pretty sure they put all the soups that are meant in there suggested for lunch as that, because you can do them in the microwave, say if you're at work, easy access to put together. But the dinner soups typically are stovetop. So this minestrone soup mix is stovetop. I like all of the food here. I've mentioned that. I think it's all tasty and delicious. You're just going to be hungry because there's not much of it. What it's doing in your body, you'll notice that you feel lighter and more clear-headed and better. For most people, definitely by days 4 and 5. So a tip I didn't give yesterday that I'm going to give today, if you're interested in doing this DIY, which I will probably end up making a video about, if just let me know in the comments if you want to see that. I do suggest getting this first before you do the DIY for a couple reasons. One, the investment is going towards a good cause, because the creator of this, Dr. Longo, all of his share of the profits go back towards funding research in the Create Cures Foundation. Another reason is because you'll get a feel for what your body feels like, what it's supposed to feel like. And another reason is because you get this L drink. You can easily make this yourself, but it would require you buying vegetable glycerin. And honestly, I wouldn't even say that this is absolutely necessary in the DIY. But what I do, again, to do the best I can with it when I did it and when I've done it, and for most accuracy, is you only use the amount that you weigh. So if, let's say you weigh 140, you will pour it out to this line. And this is what you pour in here. Fill the rest up with water. I throw a tea bag in there to cold brew. And that's what you have all throughout the day. But what I suggest doing is saving the rest of it in the fridge for your DIY. And if you're not sure how much you actually use, what I would do is measure it out. So as you're pouring it out, don't pour it directly in here. Measure it out with a tablespoon, and you'll know exactly how much you need for your weight. I do this because I already have yesterday's bottle open, and I have 2 from months and months ago when I last did PROLON that I kept because I did this. Let me show you what I mean. I just poured out about where I am now weight-wise, and it was exactly 3 tablespoons of this stuff to the right place that I am to have daily. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 3 tablespoons on here, and I'll go back to this one that is already open and the other one from yesterday, and I'll just use these instead of opening the bottles that are in those boxes. And that way I can have those unopened boxes if I do choose to do the DIY versions, just to make it closer to the actual PROLON program. By the way, what's important is that you only have the food on the day that is dictated here. So you can have any of the foods for that day only, anytime during the day. And you drink the L drink throughout the day. You can't use sweeteners on this, and you don't want to either, because one of the things that it does that is really great is it resets your taste buds. So especially sweetened things, if you use too much salt, stuff like that, this helps to kind of like bring everything back to a baseline, especially if you've just gone through a period like the holidays that are very indulgent and you've been excessively having these hyper palatable type foods. Then this can, you can gain something from it if you honor how it's changed your appetite and maybe your taste buds, what you're craving. It will get rid of cravings, and it might be a little tough. You might get some mild headaches. You might feel some fatigue. Like I said, especially it varies, but most people on day 2, sometimes leading into day 3. Oh, my weight this morning. I did not mention that. So I did go down by 1 pound, and that's pretty typical. Like I mentioned, I'll typically lose around 5 pounds when I do this, maybe 5 to 6. I might even lose, let's say, 5 during the 5 days, and then another couple of pounds in the days following the program's completion. My main purpose of this the primary purpose isn't to lose the weight. That's an additional, I guess, side effect or symptom for me personally, because I don't go into this with that as a goal. That's just a portion of the benefits that I personally feel overall from this. If you want to know more about how this came about, the research behind it, all of that, I will link Dr. Longo's book, which I read before trying this, and a couple of really good interviews where he goes over the longevity diet, fasting, how that can benefit you and your health in the long run, how this has worked for cancer patients who are going through chemo, and things like that. I know, it's exciting. Working kitty break. This has been my supervisor. Get it? Just a midday kitty break. Not really. He's been sitting there. I had to accommodate him by moving some things, you guys know. And I came to realize there is a full moon, I believe in a couple of days. I have to look up exactly, because I was wondering why I still felt a little bit bloaty, especially in my lower abdominal region. With me, whenever there's a full moon, I retain a lot of water. Typically, for the longest time, I would get my period on the full moon, every month. And then at some point it switched to the new moon. That makes sense of why my digestion still feels a little bit sluggish at this point. I don't know if I took notes on that much detail the other times I've done this, but I also did it in a different time of my cycle. So this is really interesting to me, because I feel great actually today. I feel really energized, but I think I prefer doing PROLON at the end of my cycle. So right before I get my period. So I'm kind of in the middle of it. But yeah, so I got a few things working against me. We got the full moon, which is why these guys are so attached, especially this one. He has not left my side for like 2 days, which typically happens leading up to a full moon. And we have the fact of where I am in my cycle right now. So all things I will take note of. Hi, you waiting for me? Yeah, you can tell I'm about to leave. This is his little, you want your treats? I pressed his button, which is cheating, but he knows what that means. Let's give you some treats. Woohoo! All right. Oh, here comes your mama, Betty. Oh, and here's everybody. Oh my gosh, that was a generous one. Those are all your treats for today, guys. I'm having my last soup, the minestrone soup, a little bit late today, actually. It's 8:20. It's been a busy day, but look, I wasn't kidding. He's just hopped up on here, purring, and look who's on deck. Alfred. Look what I'm dealing with. Oh, hi, Bubby. Why are you so needy? You gonna give me a hug? Oh, you guys. What do you need? What do you need, Alfred? Full moon kitties. Reasons like you why some of my favorite, first of all, this, but this, I need to stitch that up. Don't I? Meanwhile, purr, 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 purr. All right, ignore the cat hair. It's because, as you saw, Puppy was just laying up here. So that's what it's been like today. And it is a full moon today, I realized. So that explains it quite a bit. Anyway, nighttime readings. I just took them. The glucose was 76, and I had my last bit of food, so that soup, I had it fairly late tonight. It was like maybe 8:30, 8:40 by the time I finished it, so it's a little less than 2 hours, and I've been taking these measurements like 3 hours after my last meal, but I'm going to bed soon. Yeah, and then ketones down to 0.2. So we'll see what they are in the morning. As for how I felt today, I felt really good. I wish I would have made more time to do a little bit of a workout or something, because the energy is coming back. I'm still hungry. That hunger isn't going to go away. The fogginess lifted, especially towards the late afternoon and evening. I wish I was more tired for bed. I have a feeling that I'm going to wake up automatically after maybe 6 hours of sleep. And tomorrow is day 4, and then that's pretty much the home stretch of this. So I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Remember, I'll have everything linked in the description and the pinned comment below, the playlist that I'm making for this, and also the link to the PROLON website, along with my coupon code if you want to use that to get a discount as a new customer. And I'll also leave a link to any of the other resources or things that I've spoken about. Have a good night, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye. I'm still drying the blood from my finger. Bye.